Hello, everyone. We're going to be starting today with taking a look back at the regular season in Memorial.
And then after that, Overwatch League has finally revealed the bracket format for the playoffs and experimental patch notes.
And we have to talk about a little bit of beef, a little bit of grass-fed organic beef between the LA teams before taking a look at the mailbag. I'm Avast. This is Jane, and welcome to Contested. What's up, guys? We're once again live from the Frontier Communication Studio in Dallas, Texas. I'm Avast. This is Jane. Obviously, we make sure to reiterate it multiple times so we ourselves remember what's happening. And this week, just as a precursor, because we've had 2 weeks in a row where we didn't have a Thursday official episode. We had a special thing for both those weeks. But now this week, we actually do have a Thursday episode.
Shocking. I know. We were having some other things happening in the studio here on Thursdays. But if you didn't see, we did put out some, as you said, super special episodes in place of your regular Thursday episodes. So if you haven't seen them, check them out on YouTube on the Envytv YouTube channel. But yes, we are going to be back for Tuesday and Thursday episodes. There's, of course, no games this weekend because we are in the break between the end of the regular season with those makeup games as we move into the playoffs themselves.
We've reinstated Thursday.
We have.
It's back.
Thursday's back on the menu, boys.
TGIT.
Which could also be Tuesday. Which really...
TGITH. Tigith.
Well, before we talk about the playoffs and anything like that, we have to talk about what happened the previous weekend with your favorite 60-second recap. And welcome to your favorite 60-second recap. Much to the delight of a certain somebody named Avast, the regular season has finally come to a close.
Praise the Lord.
There were really only 3 exciting games over the weekend. First being the London Spitfire facing off against the Seoul Dynasty for the 4th time in 10 games. And although they made it close, the Seoul Dynasty managed to barely win the back-and-forth match to give London Spitfire their 10th loss in a row. On the NA side of things, the Atlanta Reign continue their trend of doing horrifically against bad and mediocre teams, but holding their own against good teams and then still losing. This weekend's showcase was a match between them and the San Francisco Shock, which was even closer than their ridiculous match against the Paris Eternal last week. No Bastion this time, but still seeing the Junkrat quite a bit. Finally, the LA Gladiators played 3 times this weekend, winning their first 2 against the Florida Mayhem and the Vancouver Titans, but dropping their third and arguably most important... they won against the Los Angeles Valiant.
Yeah.
3-2. But just like what happened with the LA Gladiators the last time they won against the Valiant and called them dishonest, again, some beef broke out between the 2 head coaches of the teams. But more about that in the rest of the show.
Another beautiful recap. Also, unrelated to that, people are saying, did we enable SAG?
Did we?
Did you put SAG in the channel? Mike?
We were talking about... Go ahead.
Someone put SAG.
Someone put SAG? Other people have power. SAG.
Well, that's good. Now we can start slowly just taking all of my Twitch memes and throwing it onto this channel.
Perfect.
To where it just
the Avast takeover of Envy will confirm.
Unbelievable. Then we're gonna start having like Avast pet the Peepos, which is just like just a weird gelatin like.
We still have to get you on one of the co-streams.
Yeah, well,
but you keep doing your co-stream on your channel.
I know.
Imagine.
We have scheduling conflicts.
We do have scheduling. Imagine the Overwatch.
We're gonna have to get my people talking to your people, and then we'll get our.
Don't call me. I'll call you.
Yeah. We'll send our various front offices to talk to each other to get them going.
Because they had the. Did you watch? No, of course you didn't watch it. It was because Plat Chat had Scott Mercer on.
No, I wasn't watching it, but I knew it was happening at the same time.
Chat, did anybody watch it?
I'm sure there are people that watch both of them at the same time.
How?
For sure. They have because theirs was also on YouTube. And so they have them both open. I watched it. See, I watched some of it. See, there's people.
It's not on our run of show today to talk about. Was there anything interesting that Scott Mercer
They talked something about Workshop, but I'm gonna be real. Workshop's really cool, but no part of it has strictly maybe woo it's cool.
It's also pretty insane that for the Workshop they've had. I mean, one of the really big things that has been a project that has put a lot of man hours into it is just kind of jerry rigging the Workshop to make a scuffed version of a map editor. It would be really nice if we could just like
What if we
import
just
maps.
make Overwatch Pro Mod through Workshop?
That would be. I mean, I feel like there's got to be ways that the devs could just make it a little bit easier instead of having to go.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but I just think that's just the natural progression of all games
Yeah.
that have customized modes and servers. And
It
stuff
feels
is-
like
is
one of those
Pro
things
Mod.
where like developers always joke about how they can like make Doom run on anything. If you gave, it's really, really incredible and amazing how much the Workshop community has been able to accomplish with how few tools or how scuffed the tools are that they've been provided. But like, man, I'd love it if we got some of the stuff, like some of the projects that were made for like Halo and things like that. And Halo is coming out in 2021. It got delayed, but anyway,
Are you talking about Halo Infinity?
yeah, and
Oh,
yeah,
Infinite? Or is it Infinite?
Infinite.
Or
I think it's an
Is it
Infinite.
Infinity?
But yeah,
Infinite?
just like the Workshop community has been so good and so impressive. Just give them better tools and watch the content just explode out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, then we could Gary's mod Overwatch.
Oh, Gary's mod, man! Like if we could have it's just
there's just so many options.
Trouble in Terrorist Town. I know we
Yeah.
have versions of it, but like if you could make, anyway,
We could have prop hunt, but all the props
can
are
I
Torb.
please have an Overwatch prop hunt? Oh my!
But
God.
imagine they're all Torb and is being chased by Winston.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Think about that one.
Yeah.
Think about that one. Well, I guess we do have to go on to the actual piece of news related to the show.
we're just gonna go on a tangent for an hour.
Which is the regular season. Rest in peace.
Rest
May
in peace.
be remembered in memoriam.
Yep.
The regular season.
and
my favorite thing.
We got through
on
this.
this earth.
We got through the season and all these catch-up games and bonus wins. And
Yeah. We had to watch Soul Dynasty absolutely pound London Spitfire multiple times in a row for makeup games, but that is the sacrifice you must make. For regular season gaming.
one of these times, old man.
Yeah. No, are you trying to do the SpongeBob quote?
What
It
is?
is how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
That is exactly
Come on.
the quote that I was trying to go
You
for.
need to.
I need
bring
to
your
up my
Zoomer
Spon-
references
my
up.
Spon- Yeah, sorry, I'm not
Gonna have
Zoomer
to.
enough. Let me just chug a few more Red Bulls and be good.
How
to
can
go.
I have more regular season? You can't.
No, not
I
allowed.
won't allow it.
Completely
actually.
disallowed.
Yeah,
but
it's simply not allowed.
we saw some of like the weirdest situations. Like I talked about it. The Los Angeles Gladiators played 3 times in a weekend: Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
That was.
Wait, they played 3 times?
Yeah, it was Gladiators. They played Mayhem.
Wait,
then
was it
Titan-
this past weekend?
Yeah, they played.
So I see Gladiators. Wow, they did.
Yeah,
Wow.
they played
I
the
didn't-
it's Vancouver Titans, Florida Mayhem, and then Los Angeles Valiant, and they played 3 times in a weekend, which is
Yeah,
something that we
well,
haven't
that's a lot.
seen in the previous two seasons. So, and then of course the Boston Uprising, really trying hard to chase after that record that were set by the Shanghai Dragons. How many wins did they get the entire
they have
season?
2 wins.
Two
wins.
2. Count them.
That means
1,
also because of the Titans. Let's see, what was it?
2.
The Titans' victory over the Uprising on Friday for their last match means that the new Titans roster now officially has double the amount of wins of the
new Titans,
original
yeah.
Boston roster
Yeah.
for the whole season.
You know,
a
it's-
roster
it's
that
like-
was put
it's-
together mid-season.
The Uprising Academy got relegated to Contenders Trials. It makes me wonder if the Boston Uprising themselves would also get relegated.
That's sadly not how the system works.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying, though. If they were in Contenders, would
No, I think they'd probably still be good enough to be finding contenders, but that's like the most bare minimum bar.
Congratulations,
required for-
you have a pulse.
Yeah, it's like, okay, great. Your multi-million-dollar team, it can officially function at the tier 2 level. That's really good. That's really good.
Yep.
So not a good showing for the Boston
And
Uprising
amusingly,
this
even
year.
though the Gladiators won all 3 of their games this weekend, they lost against the Man. That's where I went wrong. Man, I knew something was wrong with my 60-second script.
Honestly, I just sort of, like I said, I'm just
You just,
staring
like,
at the
shut
wall.
your brain off
I'm
when I
just
start
staring at the wall
talking.
and I'm waiting for keywords like it's like a Pavlovian conditioning. I'm just like, yeah, okay, and then I'm done.
Just-
So
that's like your 1 second of freedom
That's
throughout
it.
your entire morning
That's it.
routine. From
Yeah.
wake up to go to bed, you get that one minute of reprieve when I'm talking about the weekend's games.
it's like all those Bizanacci videos where it was like about when the crypto.
Bizanacci?
Yeah, did you ever see those where crypto was at its
I'm
all-time
still
high?
not
And it
convinced
was
that's
like,
even a word. Bizanacci.
well, it's a name.
All right, well, all right.
That's like me. But
Okay,
it's like
tell me
there's-
about these Bizanacci videos.
Well, I mean, specifically, it was about there was a. Am I allowed to use this? It's not a swear. It's not a bad word. I mean, I
Will
don't
you
know.
profane these microphones with dirty language, good
Well,
sir?
pretty much, he has a video called "Wage Cucking It." You know,
we'll let it slip. Censors are we
Yeah,
good?
I mean, I
right, we're
think
good.
it's fine, right? And there's like an image where it's like the guy he's like working at like a fast food place or something, and he's like taking the train ride home, and he's just staring out like his dead eyes, like that's me during the
Chat,
second
did anyone get that reference, or is
Yeah, we've watched it on stream.
Oh yeah, so you're just taking over.
It's a very
this
popular
show with
internet
your own
reference,
memes.
in fact, because they're very, very highly viewed. But yeah, what was my original tangent about?
I think we're supposed to be talking about regular season.
We were talking about Boston.
And this is why you've gone so
Well,
far
see,
off
the
script,
problem
because
is
you
we were
just
talking about
loathe
Boston.
the regular season. Yes,
That's
we
the
were
real
talking
problem.
about Boston again because they're a fun punching
I don't
bag,
want to
but-
talk about Boston.
No, you don't. You never
don't.
do. Other than to laugh and scream at them about
I'm
how
done.
Vancouver Titans' new
I'm
roster
done with
is
this
better than
roster.
them.
I mean, there's nothing else to be said. There's nothing else to be said. The roster, it's something must change. Something must change. How is it possible that 3 years?
They had a perfect
They had
stage
one
in-
good year.
They had one good
when I was there.
stage.
When I was
when
there.
you were there. Oh, of vast. You are the savior of Boston Uprising. Things have been downhill since you left.
Yep. I don't know what to say.
Damn.
Don't know how I do it, honestly.
You're like Hureg.
I really don't know how I do it.
There was. Oh man.
But that roster has to be changed.
Favorite moment from the regular season? I mean, both, like at least from the makeup games since the Countdown Cup ended. What was your favorite moment from these games?
Toilet bowl. Toilet bowl.
You love toilet bowls.
I loved it. No, the toilet bowl.
There
was only one true. There was a bunch of mini. I call them porta potties. Like there were a bunch of mini spin-offs, smaller bowls.
Yep.
But the toilet bowl between Houston and Boston was quite possibly the peak.
That was the one that went to
Absolute
7
peak.
games.
It
right?
did. It went to 7 games, 7 maps.
Yeah.
And it lasted like 5 hours, like it felt like, and it was just amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah. Houston Outlaws managed to pick up their game a little bit, at least for a while there. Dante was looking pretty good.
That was Boston literally won that series, by the way. No, they didn't. No. Boston, I should say, Boston in that series only won control maps.
Yep.
So
And they still managed.
Houston just lost every control map, and they still won the series.
That was one of 2 Boston victories.
Yeah, and that is one of 2 Boston victories, if you believe it or not.
That is the comeback that Packing should have had to Deep A. Is at least we haven't lost to Boston.
Do we want to go?
I gotta send my quips to Packing and get a commission on those retweets.
Well, I guess then we should take that to sort of reflect. You know, there was speaking of regular season reflections,
Yeah.
like Sideshow has to honor his commitment to, like, if he said if Valiant finished in top 10 or whatever, he's gonna shave whatever remains of his hair into a logo for Valiant or whatever.
Or just grow it back out now that
Yeah,
he's
but
Eggman.
I mean, he can't really just grow it back out. You know, it seems like it's already.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is harder than it looks, and so I think he's gonna do something creative. I don't know what he's gonna do. Something creative.
Just tattoo the logo just straight on there. No balls.
Possible. It's like when you do like an Easter egg and you like paint it. Like it's gonna be it's gonna be Mr. Egg himself. But Valiant, they did actually finish 5th in the regular season.
In an A.
In an A.
Not total.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the regions are split, but that's pretty good. And so then it caused some beef though after their latest loss to the Gladiators. I think we have like the tweet chain a little bit. After DP beat them, it was a map 5
DP's
too.
had such a weird Twitter presence this year.
It's been mixed.
It's been mixed.
He commented on my T post.
That's a very euphemistic way of putting.
He commented on my T post. He said it was a good tea that I had.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was the
So
other day.
he's really gone off the rails.
I mean, I think he's just a connoisseur.
Well, if you're blind, or you're listening to this on a
It was still
podcast,
8th
it's
total.
basically the same
though,
thing.
for Valiant. It
But
was still 8th total.
8th total.
Yeah, which is still pretty good.
Yeah,
8th total.
Yeah.
But DP, he put some heat out.
Yes. So if you didn't read it on screen there, or if you're of course listening to this on a podcast platform, DP's tweet on August 23rd said, "GG's LA Valiant players, you guys are insane. Packing 10, stay free. You probably should just stick to Valorant. Your team does better when you don't attend scrims half the time. Funny, your best year is about as good as my worst year, and we're still going to dominate in playoffs." So there's a little backstory to this, because on Twitter, at least, this is DP throwing the first punch, and his team won. It was a best of 5 sort of thing, and they've had heated moments in the past, especially the last time they faced off against each other. They went to Game 5, but Gladiators, even the players themselves were a little bit. We were talking about them being mentally boomed because of the dishonest comps, which is actually kind of funny because that's one of the first times that we saw Ash become. Yeah. That was like the first time that Ash started getting played seriously was in that game that Gladiators called Dishonest. And then, of course, since you, just like us, have watched the regular season and things that have gone on since then, Ash has been pretty meta. So it was Valiant themselves who were kind of innovating that, and Gladiators were like, dishonest comp. And it turns out that, well,
it's actually very honest.
It's kind of very honest and also innovating. So
it depends on where you put
when you call an innovative composition dishonest, it raises some questions, especially.
It does.
But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that this tweet is like the first one that came out on Twitter publicly. The casuals may think this is like the first punch being thrown, but Packing has been a regular addition on
I would say
companion
he
stream.
is also a consistent. I would say he's what we call a Gladiators down player. If I'm being
a Gladiators
fair.
down player.
Fair.
Okay, so like
I'm being
for
fair.
a lot of the people who may not know the kind of in between or the cracks of this, like what is Packing kind of? How has he been treating the Gladiators? What are some of the public?
Well, I don't think
comments
he's
that
really been treating them any which way. He's not in charge of them, but I mean, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He's said that he's made it pretty clearly known that he thinks his team's better. He hasn't liked the Gladiators' attitude. Also, as part of his response to that tweet, after Packing said he was so bad, he did have a direct response, and it specifically mentioned that the budget spent for the roster.
Yeah.
Saying because this guy, he says, my guy spent millions to tweet at me from a lower placement in the regular season, showing that the Valiant are 1 seed ahead.
You know what?
Of the Gladiators.
1 seed higher is still higher. Yeah.
It is still higher. And technically, if I'm being fair from all signs, the tweet is accurate. He MacGyvered a roster together out of, duct tape and shoestring and bubble gum and as such like that. But it did elicit some mixed reactions in terms of how people respond to when your coach says, yeah, my players get played a lot less than yours, but they're still just as good.
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that you can take a look at this. A lot of the comments, not a lot of them, but there have been responses being that Packing, that's kind of a not good look. If you're one of the Los Angeles Valiant players, should your coach be kind of proud about how little that they or him and the organization are paying you? And at the same time, is it really something that you want to do, is start throwing private salary figures around in a pretty public place? Like the Los Angeles Gladiators, we don't have kind of salary caps aren't public, player salaries aren't public, these sort of things. So when you start kind of, even if they're exaggerating, he says millions sort of thing, is there a big difference between 1 million or 4 million?
I mean, I would say 4 times.
4 times. There'd be 4 times the difference.
I would.
But there's a lot of things where these can also lead to kind of false narratives developing about these teams and these organizations in the public, because the public just has generally no idea about the internal affairs of these teams.
Personally, it's right. On when you look at a professional level, Packing, with the resources that were given to him from all accounts, the roster and the results he's created is extremely impressive.
Yeah,
extremely impressive. Anyone that says oh well, I can't believe he'd say these players. The reality is also a lot of these players didn't have a lot of value, a lot of high value, in terms of the open market coming in. Some players weren't even getting tryouts at all, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When a player like KSP really had almost no interest, or Lastro at times.
Yeah. But in terms of expectations and everything, this is, remember back to kind of the preseason there, the team that everyone pretty much was ranking at 19th or 20th, be like, this is a joke of a roster sort of thing. So, there's also that kind of Packing 10 has that bone to pick or chip on his shoulder sort of thing where everyone thought that, he was just a joke. The organization and the team were going to be Boston levels of bad. And then, to get decent results, top 10. Of course, Sideshow has that bet that he has to now fulfill. He's better than the Gladiators, who are shit talking him on Twitter. There's a point of pride here that I think Packing definitely has some.
So he has ground to stand on.
Yes.
He has ground to stand. I personally thought it was a good insult, but from a perspective of someone that's managing 2 different squads,
yeah,
and is probably at this point the highest paid member of the entirety of the Overwatch, their Overwatch squad, honestly, which is, so he's a very senior position. Mm-hmm. It's not bad for him. It looks really good for him. I think it's a good clapback, but you do have to ask so Packy is essentially saying, yeah, my org has no money. What about it, huh?
Yeah.
So if I was an org member, I'd be like, well, this sounds, this is really good, Packy, but wait, you've also then implied that we're poor. So it's sort of a double-edged sword there. I would say I think the banter was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think Packing 10 was objectively really, when you look at it, the amount of money spent to the roster results created, you can't argue that anything that Valiant is inherently more successful than Gladiators. That's just a fact. The Valiant as a roster and the objective and the resources provided by the org, it is a success compared to Gladiators. It is. Mm-hmm. But also, from just a public-facing persona, maybe not necessarily the best move. But for myself, who, I like to live wild and free, like an untamed pony, which you were looking to get at some point as a pony. I liked it. Was it the best professional move? That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah, it's. I know that a lot of people kind of find, the banter sort of fun, and I think banter among professionals, among people in the league is kind of fun. There's a piece that kind of gets me a little bit antsy, is that there's a lot of people who kind of see that and don't react to it properly. Like, the public is dumb.
Yeah, the reactions were super. Sideshow himself mauled it on his other content for some reason.
Yeah.
No, his maul was weird. I don't know what he was mauling about, honestly. Sometimes Josh mauls about like the weirdest things. He was like, I can't believe people are saying Fielder is rookie of the year and stuff like that, which is like, what's a weird thing to maul about? Because A, I have seen very few people putting that forward, and B, like, that is not the most preposterous thing I've ever heard.
It's
like,
not. It's not unrealistic.
It's not good. Like, I don't agree with it, but it's not the most preposterous thing. So I don't know why he was mauling so uncontrollably. What little mauled was possible?
Hey, man, when it's your brand, you just got to lean into it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe so. But the mauling on a packing statement was sort of unreal. Everyone was like, the madness at packing statement was so weird. Everyone was like somehow arguing that it's packing's fault the players are getting paid less, when like he's I don't know. It was a weird conjunction here to be mad at packing versus like anyone else in the universe.
Public be dumb. That's just all I have to say on the matter.
Packing doesn't set the budget. Packing doesn't choose the salaries for the players. Like, Packing isn't the one that's like suddenly like, yeah, I'm going to pick you all for minimum. Packing was the one that decided these players should be worth less on the market, like when no one else was interested in them.
And he also probably made those players be worth more, either for them renegotiating the contracts or being traded to other teams for higher salaries.
Yeah.
So like, it's...
I don't know how anyone could really be that... People were so angry at that statement, at Packing particularly.
Public be dumb.
It was very, very odd.
Public be dumb.
So... But I look forward to the saga continuing. Also, an interesting factoid that we saw on top of this is the fact that even though Valiant are technically, they have a better seed, they have lost both times they played the Gladiators this season. They're 0-2 this season.
They're 0-4
in the past two years. Yeah.
Wow, jinx. Yeah. They won, like the Valiant won quite a bit in season 1. But 0-4 in the last 2 years against the Los Angeles Gladiators.
So that is interesting. Still, though, on face value, the fact that they've just lost every time they've played against them still, but they technically are a better seed.
Yep.
So that's
but
just how
as
it
we
is.
move out of the regular season and into the playoffs, we did have the brackets get released by the Overwatch League, so we finally know dates and formats going all the way until that shiny trophy is actually awarded on October 10th.
We were waiting for the graphics to be updated a bit, but we have them now. Let's look at the APAC graphic first. So they've released sort of how it works. Okay, we're back. Chat, if you can hear me, let us know. Chat.
Hello.
See, this is the problem: is that I can't trust chat.
They can't trust chat
Because they're gonna be like, still muted. Keck W, still muted.
See, like this happened on the co-stream, and then I messed with them by just like pretending to be muted. You just got to get back at them. See,
I don't know if they're actually being honest. Are they actually being? Are we still muted? Are we not?
See, at this, yeah.
Okay, so our mic says we're not muted. You guys are trolling us.
Hi, chat.
Hi, chat. We're back.
How are you?
We're back, chat. So this is the bracket. It's missing Soul Dynasty, much like our audio was missing. This is back.
Yeah, it took us longer than I'd like to admit to figure out where the Soul Dynasty is on this graphic, but they don't really show it. But the Soul Dynasty, they're placed 5th, so they're technically getting a bye in playoff round 1. So the point being that the New York Excelsior and the Hangzhou Spark being ranked 3rd and 4th, the New York Excelsior will get to pick their opponent between either the Seoul Dynasty or the winner of the Chengdu Hunters and the London Spitfire. So yeah,
and then Spark takes whoever's left.
Yeah, Spark doesn't get to choice.
No
agency in that.
No
choice.
agency there.
Yep.
So it is an interesting bracket though because of the fact that I think considering London's performance, I would be shocked if they make it out of this playoffs round. But also, before
I'm
we
still
dive
hoping
into
for a
it,
Chengdu Hunters grand final run.
of course. Also, as an aside,
I'm ride or die, baby.
As an aside, let's take a look at the NA bracket as well. We're going to be going much more in depth with. We're going to have like a postseason super week heading up into the postseason. So we'll be doing focus in on like sort of like the different regions. We'll start with the bad teams and go to the okay teams, and we'll go to the good teams and give ourselves a preview about the rosters, strats, what we should expect. So we'll get into the brackets a lot more starting after this episode. But NA, you see, we have our bottom teams there.
Wait, hold on a second. Are we missing a team on the NA side as well? 6, 7, 8. Where's 9? And who's 9th? Is it Valiant?
Is it ninth Valiant?
Ninth
right?
is Valiant.
Yeah, and Valiant
Okay,
also
so
is
it's
in the same. It's the same thing.
We're
It's the same
missing the
thing.
Valiant on this one, right? So
Wait, where's Defiant? Where's Valiant and Defiant?
10, 11, 12, 13. What? Well, we only have 13.
Yeah, because I'm about to say Valiant is 5th.
1, 2, 3, 4. We're missing 5th.
Also, by the way, this is not our this is not our graphic.
From the
This is from
Overwatch
the
League
league.
website.
This is from the league. It's not ours.
Valiant is 5th. Defiant is 9th.
If you go to the Overwatch League website, this is what you will find.
All right. I assume that fifth,
It probably works in the same way. Because they're missing. in the
so
exact same
the
way.
Valiant will be the ones who don't get. No, Valiant is 5th.
So they'll go to the they're gonna be picked.
Bad graphic is bad.
Here's what I'm gonna say to that. So you get the gist.
This is our fault for taking graphics directly from the Overwatch League website.
Next time we're making ours.
Next
Just
time
make
we'll
our
just
own
make our
graphics.
own.
We're gonna make our own graphics for the Overwatch League.
My bad for trusting them.
Hopefully that'll be updated at some point. But you get the gist. We're gonna talk all about this in much more in depth in the coming days because we're doing a postseason super week of the intro into the teams, and I'm very excited for those. But something I have to do for our sort of a regular season conclusions, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to tell you my biggest bust. My biggest bust of the season in terms of my own preseason power rankings, leading up to where the standings are currently at. I must say, it is officially the Atlanta Reign. The Atlanta Reign are definitely now my officially biggest bust of my preseason rankings to now because they finished in the regular season 7th. Finished 10 and 11. And in their last match of the year, of the regular season, it was actually a very good match versus the Shock.
Yeah, so the last two kind of good teams that they played was Paris Eternal and San Francisco Shock, and they went to 5 games.
5 games
on
versus Shock.
both of them.
Yeah.
And
Eternal. Yeah, that's right.
So both of them they went to 5 games on, but then you're also seeing them do things like drop a game to the Vancouver Titans 3-1.
Well, I'm also still seeing unbelievable, just wild maneuverings out on the field in terms of the roster utilization.
Yep.
Urster has been turned into Mangachu, essentially.
Yeah, he's
Urster
that
is now
jumper
a
at
silly
one
hero.
track.
He's a silly hero specialist.
Hero specialist. At least they've put Edison back on the heroes that
Yeah,
Edison's
they put him back
actually
on
good
Widow.
at.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
Maybe some poke utilization. That's cool. Iris has been benched for Dogman again. And which actually, I don't mind because it's clear that
they
Iris
keep
is
just like
performing
randomly
bad,
swapping
I
up the
think.
roster. Eventually, they'll find something that works. That's how coaching works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, where the hell's Sharp? I don't know. Sharp was one of the most probably one of the most in terms of Western free agents. Everyone was really excited about Sharp. I was excited about Sharp, and he had a big decision. And he's like, the decision was between Dallas or Atlanta, and he chose Atlanta. And what's happened?
He's sitting on the bench. He's pulling in a vest.
When Decay well, technically, to be fair. Well, yeah. and so I wasn't really a hot free agent, though, for season 1.
You're underselling yourself. You were a legend.
I don't think I was a hot free agent.
Best bench player that never
But
played.
think about this. In an alternate universe, if Dallas had picked up Sharp, when Decay had left, Sharp would be playing like right now or something. Or
for
Sharp
sure.
would have been
For
playing
sure.
before that, Like, it would have been a very different scenario that we could have been in. So I'm just upset with Atlanta because it seems they have for whatever reason, Urster is in the timeout closet. I don't know why. I don't know why he's in the pain room. I don't know why they've said no, but he's gone. I don't know why Sharp doesn't get playtime at all. Well, to be fair, actually, Sharp is more
who we should
explainable
get on
to
the
me
case?
than Urster.
You know who we should get on solving this case?
Investigative journalist Brad Rajani.
I feel like he already knows some information, but
But I guess Sharp. To be fair, Sharp is more explainable because they have Edison. Edison's really good. But why has Edison not been playing heroes he's meant to be playing, like Widow and stuff, for the longest time? I don't know. They just tried to play May Reaper, just run it down mid for so long, and it just wasn't ideal at all. It wasn't. And finally I started playing Mana. I'm just so disappointed because I had Rain in my top 3 in preseason.
Yep.
Top 3.
and you weren't alone with that.
I wasn't alone, but I was expecting a lot more from the amount of talent and just how they were going to use the roster from the squad. So I was extremely disappointed. I know a lot of people were like, I also had Justice much higher, and Justice has been very bad too. But Justice is still less disappointing to me than Rain because I had a lot more faith in Rain, while Justice was like, I put them high, but it wasn't exceptionally high. It was like top 8.
Just the Justice. I was kind of. Why I forget which game it was. Was it San Francisco Shock versus the Washington Justice? When I was looking, and I was like, imagine telling somebody from 2019 that Jonu, Decay, Arc, and Aim God are on one of the worst teams in the entire league.
Yes. You know, we were discussing that actually. I think it was Hex who came on stream and was discussing that. We were like, has Jonu always been bad or is he just on a bad team? And the answer is he's just on a bad team.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like we saw Jonu have some good moments too towards the end of the season, and like sure he's been bad since he joined the Justice, but that's just his team getting clapped and like.
And Roar, I never really thought Roar was that good.
No, neither did I.
Yeah.
Roar was like a John Galt.
You know who?
Pickup,
I'm just gonna like completely tangent here. One of the other players that I still can't decide whether or not I like him or not, or if he's a good player or not, is Void.
What do you mean? Void's incredible.
Yeah. I just don't.
What do you mean you can't decide?
I've like there is one of the characters where it's like sometimes he's good and then other times when I'm looking at his play, it's like what is he doing? There's always been that guy. I'm not like
we
not
have a very.
100%
This is definitely as we say a contested TM moment.
Yeah,
a contested TM moment here because I think Void is amazing,
and a lot of people hold that opinion.
Yeah,
I like to do kind of like my own. You know, well, you also thought that Super Genji was actually going to be played in the playoffs.
If you took Void's earlier season performances, like not this season, but from season 2, etc. And like very early in the season, you could argue that maybe Void wasn't like always top tier.
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear over the past.
By no means do I mean that like
so.
Void is a bad player, but you know, comparing him to like Choi Hoban and Jonu, and I'm like, you know, I've never really made the decision about whether he's actually in like the inclusion for the really top off tank players. I can never like. You know,
he's pretty firmly in the top tier for me.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Early season two, I think he was meh at points, but once he hit about midway through, I think he really hit his stride when they stopped splitting his play time with him, and he became a lot more comfortable. And going now to Shanghai and a full Korean roster, he's become even more comfortable, and he's looked incredible. So I personally think Void's really, really good. That's interesting though.
Yeah,
that you don't think that you're mixed on Void.
Yeah, I've been mixed on him for a long time, and of all the times that I was like, I really, really need to kind of like understand more of Void's gameplay. Like he plays differently than a lot of the other off tanks, and I never really understood what his approach was. It always just like his play always felt weird to me whenever I was looking back at
Interesting.
it.
At some point we need to have like we had plans for it, but we need to do a segment done where we sort of sit down. And
Chat is really mad about this.
No, I know chat
is really mad about this. Chat, how many of you guys who are mad at me about this have actually watched first person perspective Void play though?
It's a great question. That is a great question. Imagine if we both sat down and did a review of
I would
Void.
love that because I've done it a couple times, and
we both put our own thoughts out there what we were seeing.
And you know, and to be fair, I haven't looked at his gameplay from like the later half of this year. Last time I did it was back around the like Melee stuff.
So wait. Well, actually, to be fair, it was still more recent, but I do find it funny. There's like, how many of you guys have watched the tape? And it's like, well, I really haven't watched it for the past half year. So
okay.
Yeah, you worked yourself in a corner. Trust me, as a man that works himself into the corner all the time and owns myself continuously, because when I got into the argument about the Shock having a higher seed, even though the win percentage was lower, and I owned myself on that one. So it does happen. But I disagree. But Rain is still my biggest bust. Justice, you know. At this point, Justice to me is just like big budget Boston.
Justice is big budget Boston.
Yeah, Justice is just, we have a lot of money to burn, but we just do weird things and it hasn't made it work. Now, heading into season 3, if they keep
at
Decay,
least from the way that,
be interesting.
you know, to be fair, the Washington Justice GM, you know, on Twitter and the players themselves, like, you know, somehow they convinced Decay to go to Washington.
I mean, I'm
Justice.
sure huge piles of money I'm sure that.
I mean, I assume that he was getting big piles of money from the fuel as well. It's not like
but the
Envy's
difference
a
is
broke
he can do it
organization.
here. He can get it. He can get huge piles of money from the Justice without being contractually obligated to stay, and he probably keeps his work visa alive and such because he's still here to play.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean, it was pretty obvious he did not want to be.
But
on the
what I'm
field,
saying is that, like, you know, if you're, I still get the feeling that Washington Justice wants to win.
I'm sure they do,
and I don't get that feeling from Boston Uprising.
Well, from the players, I think I get. I mean, Myungbong is publicly just on Twitter just been like, "Yeah, we suck." Like Myungbong is just very boomed on Twitter. Honestly, I feel so bad for Myungbong. When there's like that one video game. What is it? It's like the game of the raccoon where he goes and steals stuff. What's his name? Sly Cooper. Yeah, that's what Boston. Sure. That's what Huck did with Myungbong. Huck went to Korea and Sly Coopered Myungbong out of that country and brought him back. And now Myungbong is very sad. And I do think that, but Justice, I think definitely want to win. I'll agree with your sentiment that it seems they still are taking a lot of moves to win. I mean, the Justice GM was willing to go to call up the Overwatch League officials during their shock match and then like the May Melee or whatever after they DC'd, like 2 shock players DC'd and they won the fight and was like, we shouldn't restart. We should just like start it. We should just keep going. And then, but they had 2 people DC at the start of the round. It's like, of course we're going to restart the round. Like, of course we are. Like, we're not going to just play out the match after that one when it's at the very beginning. Like, they do want to win. So, and I have some hope for Justice maybe to like, if they manage to hold on to Decay, hold on to like some of their players, pick up some solid ones. Like, there's hope for Justice if you're willing to dig, if you really want to dig yourself out the hole. But so far, just all their structural issues that has continued for 2 years has not led me to believe they're still going to be that successful. But I do think they're starting to make some strides. I think they've been... The problem with Overwatch League, compared to a lot of esports, is that you get... If you ever commit to like long contracts at all, you get hamstrung. You get hardcore hamstrung in terms of like how fluid you can make your roster moves. And that happened with Justice, definitely.
Yes, it did.
I would make the argument that it 100% happened with Fuel. And like teams that have had periods of large investment but poor records of success have almost always been stuff from just contractual obligations that have just hamstrung them, which is good for people participating in the league. But compared to the overall ecosystem of esports where everything just happens on a dime, like right now in Valorant, like everyone, they literally at the drop, they'll play one tournament, and if a player like just does one less frag than average, cut immediately cut, new player comes in. Like they're just like flushing rosters back and forth forever, and that's how it is for a lot of esports traditionally. So for Overwatch League, it's like it's good, but also it does take many years for things to shake out. I mean, think of traditional sports where they have even more ironclad contracts, and like you can have a franchise be bad for like 8 years because they have like just contract stuff lasting for so long.
You know what else is good but takes years to get through? Blizzard's balancing.
Yeah.
They
That's
just came out with
definitely true.
the next iteration of the experimental patch notes,
where they continue to be like a cat with a ball of yarn to push the meta onwards.
Yeah, and
That's
they're
the new
like,
experimental.
so this is kind of the continuation of the meta that they are trying to particularly craft. See, wow, I had to tab in to see my rating out of 10 for those segues.
A lot of 10s, a lot of 10
I got
out
a
of
lot of
10s.
10s. I think that's my highest rated segue. But
Yeah.
anyway, experimental patch notes. They came out. So one of the more interesting things is that I'm kind of looking to see, as they're trying to design for a specific meta to show up in the actual grand finals, more watchable, more exciting things of that variety. So they reverted some, or they eased back on the nerfs to Orisa, but Hog so far has gone untouched. So they're definitely kind of staying very, very far away from making the double shield a possibility, but it kind of looks like they are opening up the possibility of more halt hook combos, and then hit scans, a lot of hit scans getting nerfed, and then a lot of ammo reductions as well. So a lot of DPS just got kind of punched in the face during
and
these
also
patches.
it was overall healing nerf too. On top of that, because they nerfed the amount of ammo for Ana, they reduced the
And
clip
Baptiste
size,
as well.
and Baptiste,
Yeah.
and on top of that, they also reduced the amount of healing from his burst. From his
So and like,
AoE
his
heal.
burst was really strong because it was, I think from, I'm not psychic or anything, surprising, it might be shocking.
That
to
is
find out.
shocking
That
to
is
me.
shocking.
You
But
strike me as a psychic.
regenerative burst, of course, Baptiste can't shoot the floor to heal himself. He has to use that regenerative burst, and I think that was kind of meant to be kind of the equivalent of Ana nading himself, but it was getting so strong because people would just like go in and Baptiste would just kind of use that regenerative burst to do AoE healing on his entire team sort of thing. So they reduced the healing towards his entire team, so it's not as strong when used in that way. But now just like the Brigitte nerf, or the Brigitte change rather, that ability affects her higher. So Baptiste, the area of effect is now 75 HP, but it still heals Baptiste himself for 150.
A higher amount, yeah.
So it's just
that
kind of like,
seems how they've been moving a lot of the supports, because they did that for Brigitte as well with the Inspire, where she heals less, but she heals herself more.
yeah. So it's kind of be like more like keeping the survivability for the support itself, but reducing the survivability
Which
of the team.
I think is a good change.
I think it's a great change.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
we
it's a
were
good
getting
change.
really far into kind of heal creep where nothing was dying unless you had burst or
Yeah,
ultimates,
because they finally started touching the shield, the sustainability of like the tanks a bit. And now we needed to roll back the damage and the healing too, because that was sort of the chaos, the apocalypse now scenario of ranked currently, is because of the fact that no ranked player wants to play tanks, like main tanks, because you just get shredded so hard. You get shredded so hard because of all the
it's
damage.
just dumb.
I mean, Ashe in particular, my lord. I made the allegory earlier, but like Ashe, because of all the extra just ammo she had and all the damage she could do, especially with Mercy Pockets, she is just so oppressive. Like, especially in Overwatch League, good Ashes, like you'll watch KSB or BQB or some other player, and they'll just like one tap like 3 people instantly, almost instantaneously. And it's like, what do you even do? It's like a Widow, but
Just
better.
stay behind your shields that don't exist anymore. Yeah.
It's just like, it's crazy how strong Ashe is. She needed to be nerfed. Baptiste needed to be nerfed. Ana, I don't know if Ana necessarily needed to be nerfed, but she definitely has been doing a lot of healing. And with the fact that we're shifted away from like Sigma as much and gone back towards like, they're trying to get like Zarya Hog and things like that, or other tanks, Ana then gets a buff with the less amount of things that can control her. So like maybe you bring down the healing there too. You know, I'm not opposed to that necessarily at all. I don't think Kree needed a nerf necessarily.
Yeah, the Kree and Pharah nerfs are interesting.
Yeah, Pharah was weird.
Like Pharah's movement mechanics, I've been hearing a lot of people complaining about them quite a bit. You know, they were meant to make her more kind of agile and, you know, being able to stay in the air longer, but, you know, there's some complaints from Pharah players. And then they're also reducing the rate of fire on her rockets themselves. So definitely don't think that was necessary.
I don't know why they also haven't touched Ashe's dynamite, because they're reducing the AoE healing of everything and they're nerfing her ability to one-shot people, but the dynamite is still so strong.
Yeah.
I just call it the MOBA, or not the MOBA, the Moab now.
Moab?
I just call it the Moab at points because it's just so strong. And with AoE healing being reduced, it becomes even stronger because you're sitting there just everyone's on fire and you're gonna have to heal up a bit.
Yep.
So I do think that's like one part of her kit they haven't touched as much. I don't know. I also don't know why on earth are they nerfing Zarya. Why are they nerfing Zarya?
You mean just the general beam damage?
No, they increased the ammo costs.
Oh, on the right clicks.
For the right clicks.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to ever really nerf Zarya at all currently in her current state, simply because of the fact that like Zarya is such an easily counterable hero in general, especially once we scale back supports like Baptiste a bit.
Yep.
Like, why do we ever need to nerf Zarya, and why would we not touch Roadhog first? Like,
and the right click ammo nerf is kind of a weird one because a lot of people were using the right click more or less as like a finisher because, of course, even if it takes 25 ammo, but if you have 1 ammo left, you can still use your right click. But, you know, at least those long range spamming of the right clicks takes a little bit longer. You only get 4 instead of 5 of them before you have to reload. So it's like, even then, it's a minor nerf sort of thing because if you right click at the start and then beam and then right click at the end, it's still going to be basically the same. So
someone says Zarya low-key OP, but is it only OP because it's the ranked meta where it's the one tank you can play to sort of have fun and not instantly die and you're doing a lot of damage? Like, it's not OP really it's not really OP. It's just the fact that she's just better than a lot of the other current tanks without nerfing the damage and things like that.
Right click was, somebody in chat also thinks that right click was a revert. I thought long ago it was 25 on the right click.
It probably was, but I'm just saying. But my point was just why nerf her? Like, there's no reason to.
Yeah, I
don't think she's
it's a
ever a
minor
hero that has to be
one,
nerfed. It's sort of how I feel about like Winston in his current state, right? Like Reinhardt, you can change his shadow a bit, his interactions, but when you look at heroes like Ryan, Winston, and Zarya, like and even D.Va a bit, I'd say for the most part right now, they're heroes that are fine as they are. You have counters for them. They don't need to be buffed or nerfed. You just need to bring Orisa and Sigma in line with everyone else to where there's actually reasons to play them. And Roadhog as well, because Roadhog's very powerful. I don't think Roadhog also is broken, by the way, at like the professional level. He's probably a little strong, but he's just far more oppressive and ranked because no one knows how to play as a team. And fat DPS tank players are just like the best option if you just run around the backline and kill everybody. But I don't think Roadhog will ever be truly super busted in his current state for Overwatch because Ana's just feast upon him. Ana's feast upon Roadhog. You go Reaper, you go Kree, even Ashe, maybe, you'll just annihilate Roadhogs all the time. And your tank players will peel for him. He's just so bad because he's just a fat ult battery. And like it honestly, like he'll never be that busted unless he's insanely Omega Turbo busted. And in ranked, he's just really strong because it's ranked.
Yeah, it is ranked and very different. And we haven't seen nearly as much of the Hog Zarya domination in the tournaments that we have been seeing compared to.
And I doubt we will ever see.
And I very much doubt we'll see that. You know, it's like the meta inertia that we're talking about, sort of thing. You know, it's very unlikely that we'll go a full 180-degree kind of swap on the compositions used at the pro level towards a Hog Zarya, unless it's somehow super busted, and then everyone else is going to be scrambling to catch up to the one team like the Valiant that that innovates like that. But probably a low possibility of that actually happening.
Yeah. So, but I still think he could be brought down. His one-shot capabilities could be brought down because I don't think the one thing that's always been annoying for Hog is that split design decision. Is like, is he a tank or is he a DPS?
Yeah, I mean, same sort of thing with May as well.
It's but for Hog, they just chose to go the direction of like, we're going to do war one-shotting now for Hog. We're going back to the roots of you just get hooked by Hog and you die unless you get peeled for, essentially. And that, in my opinion, and then the thing is, though, because he has no other utility, he's just kind of useless at the high levels, but he's strong in ranked play, which makes ranked super run fun because ranked players, like, they're just running around with chickens with the head cut off.
I mean, that's not the only reason why ranked is unfun.
That's not the only reason, but it's not fun when you have one-shot mechanics from, like, a tank that is really hard to punish because all your players are... Who knows what the ranked players are doing, honestly. They're just running around, not focus firing things, when Hog is the most focus fireable target in the game. But
And then I mean, I see some talk in the chat, but also the Widowmaker nerfs. So they've added Fall Off to Widowmaker. She no longer has a unlimited range. Now it's a respectable one. It really doesn't.
Chip's very happy right
Chip's
now.
very happy, except it won't actually make a difference in the vast majority of
No, it really won't.
I mean, like you'll see some. There's lots of photos out there on Twitter and Reddit if you want to take a look at some of these. But pretty much like the only big changes that people have kind of noticed and commented on so far is that like Ilios Ruins. Of course, you can still snipe onto the point itself and project your damage there, but actually dueling from the top of the ruins to the top of the ruins, that's outside of Fall Off. So if that's your kind of like mental model, is that a Widowmaker on top of one of those like broken down ruin things on Ilios, still one-shot things on the point, but can't one-shot the other Widow doing the same thing. So
it definitely changes. I think honestly the biggest thing it affects is just like the really annoying shots where a Widow jump shots you and shoots you in spawn on King of the Hill, which is never fun.
Yeah.
Or Widow duels.
Yeah.
Which I would say the Widow duels being nerfed is a negative, but also...
And it's only a very small percentage of the Widow nerfs.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's,
And I also think that, like, in general, there's been a constant balance in all games of, like, where is the right amount of strength for snipers?
Yep.
And it's not even just for Overwatch. It's for literally all... Like, it was in TF2.
Yeah.
It's in CSGO. It's in Valorant now. It's like... Snipers have always been a point of contention because, like, if they're too strong, it sucks.
Yeah, and there is also kind of like, it's risk management or mitigation sort of thing where it's like, there's going to be times where at some point it's like, at the higher levels, you basically have to get to the point where you assume that the Widowmaker is going to hit the shot. But now you can at least get to the point where it's like, oh, I can afford to get, one shot. Even if I ended up at like 10 HP or something, like I can still survive and heal up sort of thing. So it changes. It definitely will feel less oppressive because in some situations there's going to be different routes that you can take to not be threatened or.
And I know all the hit scan DPS players were out there trying to put their square pegs in the round holes and eating their crayons and stuff. I'm like, no, we don't nerf. I'm so mad. And it's like, this game's so mean to me.
I mean, we nerfed Genji. You guys can shut up.
This game's so mean to me, even though it has revolved around me for like half a year, for a whole year almost at points. Like. Yeah. The game's so mean to me, the hit scan player. And it's like, no, it's like, it just needs, like, Widow just needs to be brought in line. Ashe needs to be brought in line. They need to be viable, but brought in line. Like, let's calm down, hit scan DPS players, okay? I know you guys think that everything revolves around you. And, like, if you can't one-shot things, then the game's bad. But that's just not how it's supposed to be, okay? It's not. I'm Sag, I'm bullied in real life and uncontested.
You're mean, Avas.
I'm so mean. I'm so mean to the players.
You know who else we're mean to? People who submit our answers to our mailbag.
We're not always mean to them. We're generally pretty nice.
Yeah, especially when they write gigantic essays to us.
Yeah, we're nice.
We're nice.
We're nice.
We may summarize your essays instead of reading the entire thing verbatim, but and we even gave somebody a VIP badge.
We did.
Yeah, it was like Overwatch 123. They got a VIP badge for their fantastic submission last week.
What was our mail? Our mailbag was, would you be open or would you like a Hog Zarya this was from last week's on Tuesday since we have a Thursday episode. Would you like a Hog Zarya or a Ball Zarya meta for the playoff final? So the full chaos meta. And so the first response I had from my Discord was Ball Zarya by far. I never want to see Hog at an Overwatch League level.
No.
Which I think is this is from Not Odyssey. I think it's unfair because I feel like I would like to see. Yeah, there's a place for Hog. It's just right now there is not.
Yeah. And in general, ideally Hog is viable, but not on all maps. In the same way the Widow is viable,
and also
but not
isn't
on all
the
maps.
only pick for like tank. You want to have a good balance. It also says they would like and then the opposite we have Grilled Cheese saying it sucks in my ranked games. Would love to see Hog Zarya in the playoffs. Okay, well, fair.
Alex Brown on YouTube says I think Zarya Ball would be enjoyable, but wonder about the level of play. With hero pools, you can make the argument of competitive integrity, but for what we have seen this season, the top teams are the top teams for a reason. They're basically meta-proof. That being said, I think this might be such an insane change in overall playstyle and teamwork that the level of play might look a bit similar to my Diamond games in rank, which is a big yikes. Okay, we're never getting to the point where they look like your Diamond games.
But there have been, don't forget the Toilet Bowl. Okay.
Okay.
Don't forget some other
that was maybe
games,
low
like Justice London or whatever, Season 2.
PS would be down to watch people click heads on Widow, though. And of course, the hero pools are not going to be in play.
Yeah, hero pools are gone anyway.
They're not in the playoffs. So don't need to worry about that one.
So Widow will very likely still be meta. because I don't think these experimental changes are going to go live. Ash will, even with nerfs, will still be meta more than likely.
I also had another quick one from Lose Yourself 2D on the contested podcast subreddit. He said, Hog is lame boy. No watch Sag. Give me my Reinzar.
Ryan Zarya, an honest tank lineup. Right?
Honest,
people want Ryan Zarya
honest.
or Winston
I mean,
Zarya.
Ryan Zarya has always been the most fun tank lineup to play for me.
Well, people like Winston Zarya a lot too.
Yeah, I mean,
That's an
Winston's
OG
just
tank
fun
line.
to play regardless of who your off tank is. It's
Yeah.
just whichever off tank can make you the most aggressive Winston possible. Yeah, it's just about making Winston survivable, and then Winston's fun to play. You're just killing everything.
But I would say, like, honestly, they've done a really good job of in the current iterations of Winston being pretty survivable.
Yeah.
At like the Overwatch League level, you know, like obviously in ranked, it's a whole different ball game. But like, if you make Winston any more survivable than he currently is, it's like I was saying earlier, he'd be too strong.
Winston is when Winston is overtuned, he's just so oppressive.
Yeah. He'd be too strong. He'd be just too strong. Like it's
remember
nuts.
leading into the World Cup, they had the bug on Winston where he had no fall off on his land damage. So if you just like barely got touched by his land damage, it did the full 55.
Was that a bug though?
Yeah, it was. And
Yeah.
XQC was so happy about it. You do the thing where you just like Maywall somebody and just like jump on them repeatedly and everybody would die.
So everyone's pretty much in agreement. They don't want to see a Hog Zarya though. They don't want to see double fat DPS.
Yeah.
They want to see actual synergies, some real tank play happening versus just two DPS players flanking, two tank players flanking, just trying their best to stay alive against an onslaught of steel and lead.
Did you have any other ones?
Honestly, those were the best ones I'd say because the rest of them were just. I mean, we have Let Me See Fearless's Fat Hog on live YouTube. Look at that one with
Right.
that had some gotchi gasms attached.
And we did decide on a mailbag for this week, but me being me, I've completely forgotten what it was. Care to remind me? Yeah, it escaped your mind too.
well, no, it's on my mind, but I don't know if I really was liking it. Like I was leaning towards I guess my question would be then, since we're on the topic, is that
Do 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 do.
here's why this one would be nice actually. I prefer this. Should Widow be able to one shot if you headshot like a 200 HP character at any range? Is fall off necessary for a sniper character? Is it necessary? If you hit the headshot, should you be rewarded with the kill? Or should that be, or is that too strong when you can hit them from anywhere in the map and instantly die as a 200 HP character? Is fall off required
Widow
for a
or
sniper?
sorry. So in summary, fall off bad? Question
Is
mark?
fall off bad or fall off good?
Real
That's
in-depth
the
question
mailbag
this week.
question. Because I think it's a hotly debated issue in all video games is like, where does one-shotting
the line
sniper
play?
mechanics,
Yeah.
where does it belong in the game like Overwatch and 2? So if you want to respond to that, you can, you have, what's it?
I want to give my answer, but I'll give my
Okay.
answer on next episode sort of thing because I don't want to bias the responses.
You want to bias
but-
them? Yeah,
But
that's fair.
yeah, I will give my
That's
answer
good
on
science.
Thursday. I've got a good idea. I
That's
got a good
science.
answer for
Keep
this
that,
one.
bottle that,
I'm-
porridge it with
I don't know
you.
what that was, but
That's porridging.
porridging.
That's the act of porridging.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you respond to that, you can do it on the contested subreddit and also in my Discord, or you could do it in the YouTube comments when it goes live on Envytv. And we get them from all those places and collect. So I would love to hear your various long shooty opinions.
I
Long shooty
wouldn't
being
love that,
snipers.
but I'll read them anyway.
Okay. Well, he's less excited than me, but I'm always excited.
That's
do
lies.
Do you have anything else? Anything else I'd like to go over?
Chat, do you have anything else you want us to go over?
I like you look to me and not just the chat. So like, even if they wanted to, you'd be like looking in my eyes and not able to see
I
what
looked at
chat
the
wanted.
camera. I made eye contact with the camera. It's like I'm making eye contact directly into the viewer's soul.
Matsuki. We discussed this in the pre-show a little bit. It was
What is Matt? Oh,
That's
the
a
cosplay.
Super's
that Super
cosplay.
did. Yeah, we discussed that in the pre-show.
It was
Show
the
up for the
Super's-
pre-show, chat.
if
What's
you
your
guys were here
problem?
for the pre-show,
You
missed
missed like 10 minutes of Pokemon discussion.
All you need to know is that Matsuki is a delicate flower that I would grow in my garden, and I would protect.
Also,
Matsuki.
can you guys just please tweet at Avast repeatedly until he plays Doki Doki Literature Club on stream?
I don't know if you need to do that though.
Yes, you definitely need to do that.
But I would keep him
I
safe
would watch it.
within the walls of my garden. Feed him a
need to
little
play
bit of flour,
DDLC.
a little bit of water. Not flour. He's not a cake. But there's Matsuki.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for your Tuesday episode. We haven't had a Thursday episode for the last 2 weeks, but we do have it for this week. We're going into our playoff super episodes leading up to the end of the Overwatch League season. I can't believe it's already here. It feels like we
It
just
is.
began.
It is.
So, again, whether you're
You
watching...
will be missed regular season.
No, you won't.
No, you won't.
No, you
won't. You won't.
So regardless of whether you're watching us live on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, there was actually a Twitter viewer today. He wanted to join Envy Gaming. He was like, if you guys need a new player.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, hey, can I join Envy?
Twitter users always, they stumble in and they're
They're
like,
like,
what's going on?
What's this?
What's happening?
Hi, I'm on Twitter. Anyway.
Twitter user here. Okay, well.
Okay.
That's been contested.
That's me.
We'll see you on Thursday. To all
Even you Twitter users will
even
doors
Twitter
open,
users.
stumble your drunk ass back in. But yeah.
I don't know if they're all drunk, but we'll see you guys on Thursday for contested. Answer that mailbag, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Jane have asked bye.